Wait, you don't all yearn for the 2017 Baylor football season? Okay. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by Gametime. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. A reminder that you can get this wherever you find your podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, tell your friends to watch on YouTube too. But this is the only daily, strictly Baylor sports content that you can get dropped right to your device. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. With me today, very special guest, a guy who has been through the mud in terms of Baylor fandom for sure, Mr. Kolton Fletcher. And Kolton, for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll know why I'm a little intrigued by this. Kolton, are you wearing a Waco Wizards sweatshirt?
I am. Look at this thing.
Can we see that? Yes. Oh, my gosh.
It's incredible.
That is beautiful.
I actually heard it on from Evan Hebert.
Okay.
On, I guess Between Two Bears, talking about the Waco Wizards and his sweatshirt with it. I was like, I've got to have one.
Waco Wizards slap. Are you a hockey guy too?
I'm a Stars playoff guy.
Okay. Look, there's nothing wrong with that around here. Nothing wrong with that. I saw once. So Waco Wizards stuff's so hard to find, right? On eBay, they had a jersey that was $1,500, but it was free shipping. So there's a deal there.
That'll account for a lot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Waco Wizards were bad. And today we're going to be talking bad. Specifically, back to the year 2017. If you'll remember, the Baylor football Bears went 1-11 in the first season under Matt Rhule. I mean, look, it was so long ago. Donald Trump was the president. The Patriots won the Super Bowl early in that 2017 year. So a lot has changed, okay? A lot has changed. And so I want to take you back, Kolton, to that time. Tell me about, first off, because I'm getting off track, but I think this part's always so interesting when I think back to the season.
Right.
Do you remember what you were like, what your expectations were on the field before that season started?
Before that season started, I mean, that was the first year of Matt Rhule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a new coach coming in. You've got, I think the incumbent there was Zach Smith at quarterback.
Yeah.
And brought in a new Solomon.
A new era, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And Charlie Brewer, who was a freshman that year and ended up playing 8-9 games. I came in with the expectation of like maybe 4 wins coming off of the debauch, the terribleness of the previous 2 years and what we had to live through with that. I was expecting maybe 4 or 5 wins, but something enough to show us and build us on into a couple more years, hopefully with Matt Rhule.
Gotcha. Okay. You were a little bit more pessimistic than I was. I remember someone from home who doesn't follow college football that much was asking, and I said, this isn't going to be a great team or anything, but I was like, I just can't see them being any worse than like 5-7. I just can't see it. And I was wrong. They go 1-11. One win is a road conference victory, by the way, against the University of Kansas. And that team didn't look and feel like 1-11 most of that year. No. Did you get that same vibe?
I mean, you got the exact same vibe. I mean, you had a bunch of young players on that team that were starting to show production and something that you could build the program on. I mean, and
they were hanging tight in those games, man.
Exactly. Yeah. When we brought Oklahoma in and only lost by 7 in our first year, Matt Rhule, with a freshman quarterback coming out and slinging it all over the field.
This is number 3 Oklahoma,
3
Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield, Big 12 champion and playoff team Oklahoma. That was it, 1 score.
Exactly.
And they led in the second half.
They did.
It's just incredible.
Late in the third.
Yeah, and so that's why a lot of comparisons, I guess, have been drawn, or likenesses have been drawn to this 2023 team, because obviously the 2023 team is already going to have more wins than 2017, but the feeling around the team is so different, specifically in effort. So tell me, what was the effort like on that 2017 team from your vantage point versus what it is now?
The 2017 team felt like they were fueled by, it felt like they were fueled by each loss. It felt like they were building and they knew they were going to get it right. It was just a matter of when. And the effort there was, they were playing for each other. They were playing side by side and they were in the mud together. And it felt like they felt like they had a lot of effort.
Yeah, and they were in those games, man. I mean, you talk about it, the one score loss to Oklahoma. They lost by 10 at home to Iowa State, who had just started their ascendancy. They had just kind of gone into the rankings. They played some good teams tight, and it just feels like there was more fight in that team than this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it earlier, but before we get to how those two teams match up in the next segment, I think something that needs to be put into context here is kind of why Baylor was so bad going in or in that 2017 season. They had the roster shaven down a ton. I think they had about 70 scholarship players on the roster or just in total, I think. I mean, usually have more than 100 on the roster. They were really playing with a small deck because coming off the scandal that led to the firing of Art Briles and Ian McCaw and Ken Starr as the president. So for those who weren't there, take them back into just the vibe around Baylor in general. This was not a hot place to be in the fall of 2017.
It really was not. It was,
and the year before too, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
It kind of started with that 6-game.
It started with that 2016, which was my freshman year, and it felt like it kind of felt scary around campus. It felt like you were walking on eggshells everywhere that you went, every step that you took on campus. It was, okay, where can I feel like I'm being watched at all times.
Yeah. Like, should I wear my Baylor stuff out? Exactly. I used to do that when I was going home. Should I wear my Baylor sweatshirt? Is it worth getting whatever ridicule I'm going to get? You know what I mean? And I think you're of one of the most interesting classes, I think, in Baylor history, not from the front end, not necessarily the back end, which is obviously interesting too, class 2020, but I come in the year before, and when I came in, it was like the hottest school in the country. Yes. It truly was. It was totally busting. It was such a fun thing to be a part of. By the end of that freshman year, it was the exact opposite. And you're coming in this media storm. What was that like just for you as a student in 2016 before we get back into 2017?
2016. It felt like, I've been a Baylor fan my entire life. And so there wasn't any other place for me, and I was going to go there no matter what. But it made me kind of turn away from it a little bit. I was sitting there. I was
at least just like stepping back.
Exactly right. Like I've always been a pretty diehard Baylor fan in whatever sports I can watch. Baseball, basketball, football, and I came in there and I was like, okay, if this might not go well. This might not go well coming in freshman year and into stepping into something like this.
It was definitely different. It was odd, man. I'm telling you, from one year to the next. But anyway, next segment, we're going to talk about how these two teams match up a little bit. We're going to talk a little football again. But first, you need to know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. It's one of my favorite things to use because I love going to sporting games and to concerts, and I hate paying a lot of extra money that you don't see when you see it on the website. And Gametime gets around that. Look, I have these frustrating things all the time. I had it with a Baylor game earlier this year before I really got into Gametime. And now when I'm looking at the Bruins tickets next week in Dallas, it is so much easier to use Gametime. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, and what you see is what you are paying. You are not getting all of those hidden fees. You get to view from all your seats, all the seats in the venue, not just the ones that you're looking at. And you get the lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, all those things that those other companies don't have. Gametime has it. So I'm telling you, it's truly the best of the best when it comes to buying tickets. I've bought a lot of them. Gametime is the best. So you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets? I know I do. What you got to do is you got to download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply for that. Again, create an account, redeem the code, that's code LOCKEDONCollege, for $20 off. That would bring a Rangers World Series ticket down to about $750. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Kolton, bringing you back in here because we're going to get to the main event. Okay. You want to take the two worst teams that I've seen play at Baylor? I'm excluding 2020 wash of a season. Two worst teams I've seen, 2023, 2017. They hit the field at McLean Stadium. Who do you got winning that game? Both teams at their best, by the way. Let's put fourth quarter UCF, this year's team, against Kansas 2017.
Yes. And that Kansas score, we would beat them by like 25, 28.
Yeah, 34-9 was the final in that one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ish Wainwright scored a touchdown in that game.
He did.
And if you weren't there to watch the 2017 team, you're hearing that sentence and you're, what? Yes, Ish Wainwright scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you have all the information possible to make this pick.
No, thanks. Ooh. With the way I genuinely think I'd pick 2017 because of the way that they were able to run the ball. And
much different.
That is just one of the hard. I mean, the run defense that our team has right now is extremely hard to watch. You turn on ESPN Plus right now, go watch the Iowa State game, and you're excited and you're going, all right, like maybe we can really start something here. Like we can go on a run a little bit. We can slim chance we can go bowling still, but we're going bowling maybe. And you pull it up and you watch Iowa State go down the field in 4 plays and score your first touchdown, gas you from the start, and you go, yeah, see, there's no fight in there.
And one of the weird things about the 2017 team is like it's tough to quantify or put it into a stat, and I don't know if this ends up being better or worse, but they would have times where they would just completely crumble. But what that meant was there were other times where you're like, how does this team only have no wins or 1 win? They look so good right now. They did it against Oklahoma. They did it against West Virginia when they had that great comeback that fell short. And you just don't really see that with this team. Every week I watch them and I'm like, yeah, the record makes sense. They're just bad. They're not stupid. Like the 2017 team was young. It was at times really stupid. They were one of the most penalized teams in the country, but they were young. And you were like, okay, they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Right.
This team, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like they're just bad.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that the individuals they're not bad. It doesn't feel like an individual. It doesn't feel like an individual. Like you're pointing at people and you're saying, yes, that's not a good player on the team.
This guy's not good enough.
He shouldn't be on the field. No, there's nobody that you're looking at on that team and saying, yeah, he probably shouldn't be on the field. His backup might be better than him. Why aren't we giving him a shot? It just I don't know what it is, but it feels like something else.
Okay. All right. Well, let's match up the numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
We match up the numbers a little bit here because this is something I was so interested in. Obviously, these teams are very similar. And what I want to do with you, Kolton, is I'm going to give you a stat. And I want you to say which team was better in this stat, 2017 or 2023. What do you think? You think we can do that?
Let's do it. Let's give it a shot.
I believe in you. Okay. Offensively, points per game. You got 2017 or 2023?
Are we saying more points per game?
Yes. Offensively. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
2020 or 2017.
2017 is correct. 24.3 versus 22.5. So not a huge difference. Yeah. This team is 100th out of 133 in FBS. And that 2017 team was so much better at 98th. Okay, natural next selection. Points against defensively. You got 2017 or 2023?
Ooh. So I think the Big 12 was still coming out of its ultra offensive era.
Yeah.
2017. Oh, you put up 49 points against us. But then we do have this year with Texas putting up 38 on us. And Cincinnati putting up how much?
29. 29?
2023.
All right. So he goes with 2023. 2023 points per game against is an even 30. 2017's 35.9.
Dang it.
There's a couple blowouts in there that I think
Are
really
there?
tips the scale. The 59 against Oklahoma State. So that might just do it. So 2017 is not as good defensively as 2023, at least by the numbers. Again, if you watch the games, there were spurts where you liked the 2017 defense and what Matt Rhule was building there. But by the numbers, not the case. Okay, last one I got for you. Strength of schedule going with 2017 or 2023.
Oklahoma being number 3. What was Texas when we played them this year?
3. Same thing. 3. Same week of the year.
And we had Liberty, UTSA.
Yep.
Who was that third team?
Basketball school.
Duke. It was Duke.
Yes. Played at Duke. Daniel Jones is Duke.
Yes.
Danny didn't play the next year in Waco.
No. 2023.
All right. So 2023's got the better strength of schedule. So I don't know how they do the metric here, but the number is 2.21, which is 41st out of all Division I teams in 2023. In 2017, 4.12 and 35th. They faced a tougher schedule in 2017. I guess having the Duke game on the road has to do with it, but you also have Utah this year. I don't know, but I guess that's what shows that this, for as bad as we like to think the Big 12 used to be, this year, hopefully an anomaly, very bad, chaotic, bad. Who the heck knows? And that also hasn't gone through the whole season for this 2023 Baylor team. I didn't know how to fix that. So anyway, actually, I do have one more for you. One more. I did this myself, Kolton. I did the math on this one. How about that? Ideas in mathematics class. Okay. I did that. So I'm going with, I don't know what the name of the stat would be other than loss point differential. So how much they were losing by strictly in the losses. Which team do you think was losing by more? Yeah. So not taking, so it would be point differential if you take in all the games, but point differential just in the losses.
Oh man. Thinking about, it's got to be who has more points in who's losing by more points.
Correct. That's a better way to put it. Yes. Who is losing by more points when they lose?
This year's team, I think, is losing by more points when they lose.
2023's team loses by 17.4 a game. That's bad.
Again,
2017, they lost by 15 points per game. You're right again. This team is losing worse than a team that went 1-11. When they lose, they lose. They lose hard. And I mentioned that Oklahoma State game in 2017. That still has the 2017 team ahead. They lost that game 59-16.
Yeah.
Kolton, I think what I'm trying to get at is this team is bad. Can you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think I can come to that conclusion.
This team is bad. And one of the things that is so important contextually for these two teams is where they're at. Okay? This was year 1 in Matt Rhule versus year 4 in Dave Aranda. To me, 2017 at least felt like the beginning of something, the foundation of something. This truly feels like the end of something, the end of a chapter. Is that kind of ringing the same with you?
That or
at least an ascendancy versus a
change very quickly.
Yeah.
And I hate
it's weird to think of a 1-11 team as an ascendancy, but you kind of bottomed out in the middle of that and you just kind of took the highlights, right?
Yeah. And it is fair to sit there and look back at the beginning of Matt Rhule's tenure, 1-11, and going, all right, he went 6-6 and then he went 11-1.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Aranda comes in, COVID year to wash. He starts off winning the Sugar Bowl and winning the Big 12.
And you're like, okay, we got it. This is basically year 1.
I think I told it to anybody that would listen is, oh yeah, I think it was right after Texas and OU announced they were leaving. Oh yeah, we're gonna run the new Big 12. It's gonna be us and Oklahoma State. We're not even gonna need to worry about it.
I didn't even think that was a crazy thing to think.
No, and it wasn't. It wasn't because
it's crazy to say now, like hindsight's 2020 and other fan bases will be like, oh, they were delusional. But that was not a crazy take, Kolton.
Man, no, I really thought that it was going to be, we were just kind of the next step. And then you don't necessarily see regression like this team's seen. It feels, I don't know, it feels unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And, I haven't gone into the research to see how other teams the size of Baylor have capitalized on those opportunities, but certainly disheartening. And 2017 was obviously kind of the building blocks towards a good couple of years as a Baylor fan. The next two that came after that, of course, 2019 was a dream. It'll kind of be forgotten about because 2021, they did those things and then went a little bit farther and did the other things, which, look, it's obviously better, but 2019 was a fun ride. But anyway, we're going to be talking a little bit more about 2023 after hearing from our partners at FanDuel. FanDuel will also sponsor today's video. That is America's #1 sportsbook, by the way. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. You do have to win, Kolton. Sorry about that. But a $5 moneyline bet, you got to win, and you get $150 in bonus bets. That's pretty good. 150 if your team wins. And this is the absolute best time. Best time to be in on FanDuel and in on sports. We're in our sports equinox right now. Okay. We've got the World Series, obviously, with the Rangers. We've got NFL, college football, college basketball starts next week. We've got the NBA and the NHL, all the 4 major professional sports overlapping. It almost never happens. This is the time to do it. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, this is it. The app is so easy to use. They have a wide range of options that include spreads, player props, over-under, anything you want to bet on. Visit FanDuel.com and do it. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and get this season, this best equinox kicked off right. Again, that's FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. All right, Kolton, back to 2023, and it's just as gloomy as talking about 2017. We knew what came after 2017. We don't know what's coming after this right now. So there's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance they can go 3-1 and go to a bowl game. I'm not holding my breath. But in terms of what is going to make you, the fan, optimistic going into the next season, what do you need to see from Baylor? What can change in these last 4 games that will, ease your mind a little bit?
Honestly, just progress. I mean, what we've seen out of the first 8 games, what we've seen out of the first 8 games is it feels like they're not learning from their mistakes.
No progress. Yeah.
No, none. And it's you want to see steps taken in the right direction to start setting edges on defense. You want to see steps in the right directions of trying to get the ball to your playmakers and protecting for Blake a little bit better. You want to see those steps taken so that you can at least feel encouraged about the 2024 season and feel like, it may have taken them a little bit longer with a new defensive coordinator and basically a whole new offensive line to establish their identity. And but they got there is what I ultimately want at the end of the season.
And what are your feelings? I know it's divisive in the Baylor fan base right now. Where are you on the Dave Aranda train right now?
I'm gonna support whoever we have as our head coach. As a fan, if he's there next year, I want him to do the best job possible.
Sure.
And this year, I still want him to. And part of me
do you think he's the solution, though, Kolton? Do you think he's the solution?
I think he can be with the right decisions.
This sounds almost exactly like me. We all want this to work. We really do.
We want it to work so bad because I was bragging about him so much whenever he came here. Our AD pulls the defensive coordinator off of a national championship winning squad where he taught first rounder after first rounder how to play defense. And you love this because it's a fantastic hire and it's a relatively big name. And I loved the fact that he had this demeanor about him whenever he first came in, calm, cool, kind of calculated, collected. And I'm slowly starting to feel like that's what the football team is kind of taken on too. And it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of energy. So,
which was definitely not the problem in 2017.
No.
Do you remember, I think it was in the Oklahoma game. Do you remember what they did in warmups?
I don't.
I've never seen it
Wait.
before, never seen it since.
Did they do the Oklahoma drill?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. So at the end of the day, it's still silly. Like it's stupid.
Yeah.
But it was weirdly like the macho sports movie guy in all of us needed to see that.
Yeah.
They do an Oklahoma drill at like the 40-yard line in like 15 minutes before kickoff. It was
just right in front of them. Everybody's dressed. Oklahoma's on their sideline and just
what
whacking.
The hell were these guys doing? But as cheesy and machismo as that is, and I don't even think Matt Rhule will do it again. No. That was weirdly something we needed to see. And linking these two seasons again, this might be obvious answer, but I want to hear from you your number one memory from 2017 and 2023 seasons.
2017, oh man, I think I don't know why it's the best memory, but that losing the Liberty game, it just kind of shocked me out of this stupor that I was in about Baylor football. It shocked me. I was like, oh man, we're gonna be.
This is your best memory from that year, or just number one, just what sticks out?
Number one memory.
Okay, just what sticks out. Okay.
What am I gonna be happy about necessarily from that season? A win.
Ish Wainwright touchdown against Kansas. Come on. Mine is the "Who's Your Daddy" chant against Baker Mayfield. That was awesome.
Oh, we had the people. I had two OU fans to my left and right, and they were just sweating bullets.
Color me shocked.
Yeah.
Damn.
And from this season, I mean, it's been that UCF comeback. I think it was incredible. I was driving while it was happening, and I had it just kind of playing hooked up to my phone or hooked up to my car, listening to it. And I turned it off, and my wife was giving me play-by-play, and she kind of held on to y'all kicked a field goal. I was like, did we win? She was like, yes.
This sounds like exactly what it would have to be like if I had my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Someone scored. They're wearing green. Is that Baylor? Sure. Yes. Like that. Okay. That checks out though. I mean, I don't know what else you'd pick from this season, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's gosh, trip down memory lane.
Oh yeah. It's always nice.
Who could forget it? So you've got 2017 winning this game. Do you have a score in mind? Do you how is the game going to go? God, I wish this could happen.
I know. I'd call it 21-24. I mean, 17 winning by a field goal.
Low score.
Just slim. The defense is good enough to not let 17 run just completely wild.
Oh, actually, you know what's funny too is I'm almost certain this guy scored a touchdown in the Kansas game, which was the only win of the year, and also played on the team in 2022. You know who that player was? He was so close to being on both teams.
I want to say it was Gavin Holmes.
It was Gavin Holmes. Yes. True freshman Gavin Holmes scored a touchdown in that Kansas game. And I think he blew out his ACL. I think either that game or very close by to that. So
I think so too.
He had 2 knee surgeries. That's why he got to play 6 seasons on the roster.
Too.
Wouldn't that have been unbelievable if he had just managed to? I mean, who knows, man? With COVID and grad transferring and medical red shirts, he probably did have that at his disposal.
You're probably right. Well,
anyway,
I know Bryson Jackson's on his 7th year.
Yes. So he narrowly missed that team.
I think were they in the same recruiting class?
I think they were off by a year. I mean, maybe with a red shirt in there. I don't know. Bryson Jackson got to do both the cool uniforms and these.
He did.
So something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I think I would pick 20. You didn't ask, but I would pick 2017 as well. Tight, but I would put it at like a 28-17, so not as tight. It's a double-digit win.
Yeah.
I just think they would be able to run the ball. JaMychal Hasty's still there. Terrence Williams still there.
Yeah.
Leveling guys. Wow. So I think they're able to run the ball down the throat. And Tristan Ebner is a true freshman. Remember, he and Brewer were big in that comeback against West Virginia. So I think they would force a turnover too. Force 2 turnovers, and that's going to be the difference.
Was that Jalen Petre's first year too?
Yes, which he played a little bit at linebacker. And then we didn't really see him for a couple more years on the field. And Graylin Arnold was
Yes.
your shutdown corner. Now still kicking around with the Texans and playing a little bit more with the Texans.
Yeah.
So great stuff. Anyway, Kolton, thank you so much for coming on. It's at Kolton Fletcher on Twitter, which is a very good to maybe even great Baylor Twitter follow.
I got in early.
Yeah, you did it. You nailed it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Any thoughts on the Houston game this weekend?
Go
it's
Bears.
bad. It's at home.
Go Bears.
Yeah, Second Bears, dude. Second Bears. Thank you guys for making it your first listen today and every day. We've got Nicole Sheeran from KCEN coming on the show tomorrow. Talk a little bit more about vibes. Kolton was breaking down the X's and O's and taking us on a trip down memory lane. She's got more of the vibes and what you're seeing / not seeing on the sideline and with Coach Aranda this year. Again, that is all for today. Thank you very much for making it your first listen today and every day. We'll be back tomorrow. This is Locked On Baylor.